Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to today's breakout session titled Indigenous Perspectives on Planning and Logic Model Development. Today, we have Gretchen Dobrovich and Diana Hawkins from the American Indian Public Health Resource Center joining us today. And Gretchen Dobrovich serves as the center's public health policy manager and is a licensed social worker in the state of North Dakota. She has served in the North Dakota House of Representatives since 2016 and as House Minority Caucus Chair since 2019. Diana is an enrolled member of the Sesitan Wahpeton Oyate tribe and serves as the center's public health project manager. Diana has experience working with the tribe's community health education program and has insight on intertribal relations and collaborations, as well as providing direct education to community members. Before I pass it over to our speakers, I'd like to note that today's session will be interactive, so active participation is strongly encouraged. Feel free to utilize the chat or other tools provided to you. Without further ado, please welcome leaders from the American Indian Public Health Resource Center for an interactive session.
Thank you, Marlinda. Buris, Buju, Ha, Dosha. Hello from the Northern Great Plains where we're shut down by a blizzard. So Diana and I are working from our homes today. This is a two-day session. There'll be two parts. The first part today will be doing some very brief introductions, which Diana will lead us through. We're going to be identifying core cultural values and stakeholders and doing a gap or SWOT analysis. And then in tomorrow morning's session, we'll be working on creating our story, which is developing a logic model. Diana and I, as Marlinda said, are from the American Indian Public Health Resource Center. Our vision is to advance American Indian public health, and we do that through technical assistance to tribes and tribal serving entities through education, policy, research, and services. We work with tribal nations across the United States. And here's just a few pictures of us in action. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Diana, who's going to lead us through introductions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana. And so since we're kind of a smaller group today, I thought we could all just go around and introduce yourself, your name, and where you're from, and maybe your job title, and then just something short on what your expectations are for this strategic planning session. And so I can go first. My name is Diana Hawkins. I'm from the Sesitan Wahpeton Oyate. I'm the education project manager for the American Indian Public Health Resource Center. And my expectations for the strategic planning today is just to give you guys a better idea of the process and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So if everyone feels comfortable introducing themselves, I could just go down the list and maybe call on people, or if you want to just jump in at any time and introduce yourself that way, that works too.
Go next. Hi everyone, my name is Delmi Ortega. I work with the University of Arizona at UA Maricopa in the Maricopa County area. And my title, I am one of the managers for the program here. And my expectation, we do have the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community in our work plan. So I just wanted to come and see what the conversation is about and see if I can pick up any thoughts or ideas for the programming that we do in the Salt River community.
Great, thank you, Delmy.
I can go. This is Marlinda. I am the tribal liaison for AZ Health Zone, and one of my expectations is just to learn more. I think that there's a lot that we could still learn in terms of our planning at a state level, and also providing technical assistance to our local agencies on any of their planning initiatives.
Great, thanks, Marlinda.
And hello, my name is Christina Guterman. I'm the AZ Health Zone Administrator out of Department of Health Services. And I'm excited for this presentation as I work closely with our team in terms of planning, and we want to make sure that we shift our planning and our focus to also include community perspectives and support local agencies in that lens and vision as well.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Hi, good morning. I'll go next. My name is Brenda Beveridge, and I am a program support manager. I wear a few different hats, but I am with the, sorry, I have babies walking by me. I'm with the Department of Economic Security, Family Assistance, and I am a liaison between DES and also the Arizona Department of Health Services. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Casio, and I'm the Community Engagement Specialist for our office in Maricopa County. I'm excited to listen in on this presentation. I've been supporting a group, a neighborhood group in the West Valley around these issues of like strategic planning. We've done some logic model development with them. And so excited to kind of get some more tools that maybe could be useful for their planning and their organizing.
Thank you, Vanessa.
I'm sorry. Hello, my name is Ed Beltran. I'm with Cooperative Extension here in Tucson with the Garden Kitchen. And for me, I think working with ECE, I want to know my position, what I need to do to really support a lot of the tribes here. I'm working with Pascuayaqui here, and I just want to make sure that I understand my role as a provider of nutrition and traditional cooking.
Okay, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Rhonda Little. I'm a community outreach specialist in Navajo County. I'm with University of Arizona, Navajo County Cooperative Extension, and I'm located in the northern corner of the state. And I'm eager to get ideas and just learn from others and get new ideas. So looking forward to the presentation today. Thank you.
I can jump in. Hello, everyone. My name is Beverly O'Torre, and I am a program evaluator with Maricopa County Department of Public Health. So I'm just here to learn more, pretty relevant to my work. So I'm interested in what will be shared today.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves who hasn't yet?
I'm Teresa LaGrove. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Anarita Bigay. You can call me Anna. I work with University of Arizona Cooperative Extension under Arizona Health Zone. I am located in Window Rock, Arizona on the Navajo Nation. And my expectations for strategic planning right now, I guess just find the tools that I can use to implement my program better in my community here on the res.
I'm Teresa LaGrove. I'm a member of the AZ Health Zone State Evaluation Team, specializing in childhood and just here to just keep an ear out for how planning and evaluation naturally tie in together.
Hi, good morning. I guess I can go next. I kind of got chimed in a little bit late here. My name is Leanne Johnson, and I work with Coconino County Health and Human Services with the Arizona Health Zone up here. I am located in Tuba City, and I'm hoping to get some ideas on, there's problem solving for big ideas, small ideas, and how to put them together, how to, go about and try to work around that. Because sometimes we do have, all kinds of ideas that come flying up, and how to navigate through them. Thank you.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you for everyone who gave a brief introduction, and we're happy to hear why you're all here today. And then Marlinda put in the chat another expectation is learn more about new ways to get the community involved in our planning efforts. So that's a really good one. All right, so I think we can kind of move on. And I'm just going to cover a few general ground rules as we go through this process. So the first one is just to have one speaker at a time. We'll be asking for, some different input on things. And so just be mindful of other people, which leads us into the next one. Don't monopolize on the conversation. Let everyone speak and everyone have their input. Honor the expertise in the room. Everyone has valuable knowledge, and so we just want to respect what they bring to the table. And then number 4, respecting others' opinions. And the last one, just managing your technology and your cell phone use. If you could just silence those and not really be on them at this time. As this is kind of an interactive activity. And so if we could just have your attention for this small amount of time today. So the first section that we are going to cover is the core cultural values and how these fit into your strategic planning. So cultural values and strategic planning. Exploring and naming our values is the first step in developing a strategic plan. Your initiatives are place-based and must be designed and planned in ways that understand your connection to your place. Community is central to our sense of ourselves as a people and should be considered in your strategic planning process. And sovereignty dictates that everything belongs to the tribe and community and should be practiced in ways that help us learn and move forward. And if at any time you have any questions, you can just put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer those. So cultural values, strategic planning, framing a strategic plan that is responsive to strongly held values is a continuously evolving process. And what it is or becomes will emerge from our collective attempts to ensure that traditional values are at the core of any approach to developing, planning, and evaluating programs in our communities. Strategic planning story creation. Consider the values that are important in your community and what should be connected to your strategic plan. And recognize the relationships in your program with people, activities, other programs, tribal councils, outcomes, etc. And then try to put these values within a model or metaphor that communicates and resonates within your community. And so here are just a few examples of some core cultural values, and these are depicted through drawings. And you can see in the left picture, there's the medicine wheel. And you can kind of see some of those values of trust and love, storytelling, respect. In the middle picture, it looks like there's a canoe and a paddle, and their values are depicted throughout that. So reflection, those ones are a little tougher to see. Discipline, history, elders. And then the last one is kind of just in a list order with different colors. And so there's respect, pride, roots, accountability, language, just some different values that pop out. And so, and this will just be specific to your community. And so group decision making. We often refer to cultural values and planning programs for our communities. What does this mean in your community? What values do you promote when designing your programs? How could or should these values influence an approach to planning for your program? And what are these values? And so listing your core cultural values. As you can see here are 7 core cultural values: language, love, trust, respect, honesty, humility, bravery. And so just kind of think about what those values might be in your community, where you're at. And so now we're going to do an activity, and I will put a link in the chat to a Jamboard, and then you all have the opportunity to list some of your core cultural and values on a sticky note here. And so I will. Okay, the link is in the chat. So if you just want to click that link, and then I can share my screen for the Jamboard. If we want to leave this PowerPoint for just a few minutes, Gretchen. And then we can see everyone's input. Okay.
Diana, I clicked on the Zoom link, but it's asking for access.
Okay, let me see here.
You're in the right spot. Just when you go out of that one, Diana.
Okay.
You're going to go down with share with University of Minnesota and click on that blue. Yep. And you're going to actually change that to share with anyone with the link. So there should be a drop down there, anyone with the link.
Okay.
And then you're going to make that an editor instead of a viewer.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so if you're not familiar with Jamboards, it's pretty straightforward. You'll just go over here to the sticky note and you can add one in and click. And so I'll put one in here. It's a value. And then you can kind of just drag it to wherever you want. And so whatever values that you have for your program or for your tribe, for your community, whatever you think those may be, you can just start adding them all in. So we'll take a few minutes to do this. Transparency, that's a good one. Culture. Communication. Share responsibility. Language. Trust. unity, community first, growth mindset, food, equity, knowledge, relationships, yeah, those are great. Those are some really good core cultural values. Are there any other ones that anyone wants to add in? Okay, so if you think of any more, you can add them into the chat and we can put them in here. Empathy, that's a good one. And so this is like a living document and we can keep adding to it. But for now, I think we'll move on to the next activity. So inclusion, that's a good one. And so if there's, you can keep adding them in here too. And at the end of this session, we'll compile these all into a document. And so feel free to add them in here or add them into the chat on the Zoom link and we'll make sure that they're in there. And so for now, I think we will go back to our PowerPoint. And Gretchen, you can start sharing again.
Can everyone see the screen that says identify your core cultural values?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Just want to make sure it's showing the right screen. Okay, the next activity that we're going to do is called a gap analysis, or sometimes it's called a SWOT analysis. And it's a really important piece of the strategic plan because it's where you really take a deep dive look into what's going on that's working really well, what's going on that's not working so well, and what opportunities are out there that should be capitalized on in the strategic planning process. So in the SWOT analysis, you identify your organization's greatness, which is your strength, opportunities for growth, which are weaknesses, the untapped potential, which are the opportunities, and the things that make you vulnerable, which are threats, and those can be internal and external. So the SWOT analysis identifies the actions that will have a positive impact on the organization's strategy for success. So why take the time to do a SWOT analysis? They're very helpful in problem solving. SWOT analysis are a way to identify what the root of the problem is. It can help you identify opportunities to respond to change. It's very helpful in being strategic when you look at planning. It helps you keep up with trends in the industry or in the area that you're working in. And it's a really simple activity that can be used to develop strategies. So the 4 different components of a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When you think about the strengths, and my understanding is that the logic model is going to be based on the community garden programs. So when we do the SWOT analysis, think about the community garden, the role that you play in community garden projects in your communities, and think about what's working really well. And is there any proof of that? There's 56 families that are participating, or, however you're measuring that to show what's working well. What is the team that's working on the project really good at? so that you're creating a strategic plan and you're doing this analysis from a strengths-based standpoint. Also, what makes your program unique? What is different about your programs, community gardens, or farmers markets? What are you doing better than anyone else? It says patience in here, but that can be interchangeable with anything. So what do clients or what do community members and the community say is going well about the project? But with the community gardens, best melons ever, tomatoes are always good, worst peppers I've ever eaten. So what are communities saying are going really well with the community gardens? And are there any goals that were set initially with community gardens that you've exceeded? So when we do the strengths activity, which will be another Jamboard, these are some of the questions to think about as you list strengths on sticky notes. The next section is weaknesses. So what is it that your community garden programs need? What's missing? The individuals who work on the gardens and who are served by the gardens, what are their needs that may or may not be being met? This is like one of my favorite questions in strategic planning is, if we just had blank, this would be better. So think about the community garden program, and in your mind, what is like one thing that could make it better? And that's a sticky note. We need, and then list what that is. What are some areas for improvement that people have either pointed out to you or you've identified? Are there any issues that the folks working on the community garden or using it are avoiding? Kind of the we don't talk about issues. What do folks in the community tell you they want that isn't currently being delivered? Do they want different hours? Do they want a different location? Do they want different foods grown? Do they want new tools, closer water access? So what feedback have you gotten about change that could occur? Is there work that the community garden, is there work around the community garden that's not part of the project? That's sort of, we just added this because folks wanted it, but it doesn't really fit the actual mission. What is the satisfaction of the people who are working on the projects? Are people showing up? Is the community engaged? And what is morale like? Is the garden a happy place when people are there working? Are they working together? Are they laughing? Are they smiling? Are they having a good time? Or do folks feel like it's the community garden is a burden? The next area that you'll be taking a look at is what opportunities are out there. So are there any things that community gardens in other locations or other, even just other parts of the country, are there any things that anyone's doing that you see as an opportunity that you could apply to the community gardening program in your area? Are there any underutilized resources? I noted that several of you had mentioned that you work with extension. Does the University of Arizona Extension Program have a Master Gardener program? Is that being utilized? Is that an opportunity to offer that program to folks in the community to build their gardening skills, to expand the community garden? Or are there elders in the community who could be providing teachings on traditional gardening? That piece of culture isn't being integrated. So thinking about what are some of the resources that we aren't using currently? What do you have that you could use differently? could you expand your garden if you tilled up XYZ area that's just sitting there? So are there any resources you have that you haven't really utilized in a way that it moves forward the goals or the vision and mission of the community gardens? Are there any trends that you need to respond to? Thinking about climate change, how does that impact, how is that impacting community gardening? You know, one of the things we have here in North Dakota that I know is in other places is, you know, like with the community gardens, there's also sometimes farmers markets. Some of them will do farmers markets, and you can double your SNAP benefits. So is that a trend to respond to? With inflation and food prices going up, is there going to be a greater need for the produce from the community garden? So is that an opportunity? And again, the trends to take advantage of. And then the last area of a SWOT analysis is threats. So are there changes in gardening technology that could make your garden obsolete? Do you have the financial resources? Is there lack of support in the organization, or a lack of it being someone's role to oversee the gardens? Is there competition? Are there goals you haven't achieved? Are there political effects? Is this a project that had broad support from leadership, and now leadership has changed and the support's not there? And then looking at financial effects. So as inflation goes up, are more people going to depend on the garden? And so the garden will need to produce more, and that will require more financial resources to expand the garden. So thinking about those external and internal threats that may need to be addressed. So we're going to do an activity, and we're going to do it a little different than the instructions on the right-hand side. So we're going to go back to the slide about greatness, and Diana is going to put a link to the Jamboard in the chat, and you'll be putting up your sticky notes about what is the greatness you see with the community garden programs now. These are the things that are where you see the gardens are excelling, or the community is excelling. These are things that you know are done really well that shouldn't be changed. In order to continue to be successful, we need to continue to do these things. And we're going to take 10 minutes on each of these issues, so folks have time to put down all of their ideas. List what comes first to your mind. The other piece is be brutally honest. The thing about SWOT analysis is, if participants in the analysis aren't honest, aren't vulnerable, don't put out there what the weaknesses are, what the opportunities and threats are, don't highlight the strengths, then this activity isn't really helpful in developing a strategic plan that will help you move from good to great. And one of the cool things about using the Jamboard is that it's anonymous. Your name shows up as a rando animal. So when Diana and I are sorting them out, we don't know who's saying what. So this activity is really, it requires some trust. At the same time, the more brutally honest you are, the more helpful it will be for you tomorrow when you're creating your logic model and moving into the strategic planning process. So with that being said, I'm going to move it back to strengths. And then I'm going to stop. We'll take a minute and look at this. And then I'm going to stop sharing. So Diana can pull up the Jamboard and you can start populating it with sticky notes. So sticky notes about what's working well, what the teams at the gardens are good at, what's unique about the gardens, what are your gardens doing better than anyone else? What's the community and the participants saying is done well? And are there any goals that you had that were exceeded with the gardens? So those are kind of some of the things to think about when thinking about strengths. And I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Diana. And we will go on this one until 10 minutes after.
Okay, so it's the same link to the Jamboard. So it looks like some of you are already adding in things. If you just go to the center and arrow over to the right, and so you'll be on 2 out of 6. I will share my screen here. And you can just start adding in your sticky notes the same way as before.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So with this activity, I don't work with our garden program. So is this like a theoretical, or is this like, should I just not add anything? I don't support community gardens, so I'm just wondering, is this like a real life scenario, or is it supposed to be like a hypothetical scenario?
So I'm gonna, Marlinda, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna let you answer that. My understanding is that it was, this was specific to the community gardens that are happening. But Marlinda, do you have any direction?
Yes, so you can apply it, Vanessa, if you don't want to use a Jamboard, that's fine. You can use a side note and just generalize it to your work. What's going to happen is today's session will have a continuation tomorrow. So the center was given a project example from a local agency, and it sounds like the team had selected the community garden project example. So that's going to be used for today and tomorrow to go through the entire strategic planning.
Great, thank you.
So Marlinda, I guess I'm in the wrong place too. I don't think I read anything on it that it was going to go into the second portion for tomorrow, because I selected some different for tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, so tomorrow, what they will be doing is a walkthrough of a logic model where, sorry, I'm looking at the chat too. And then, yeah, so today's session will be a continuation of tomorrow with the focus on basically using a garden project as the example of going through strategic planning and logic modeling.
Okay, because I don't have any garden projects in my area at the moment, so I guess I'll just follow along today too, and then yeah.
Yeah, that Vanessa and Leanne, yeah, great information. Definitely you can apply the SWOT to any type of project. So whatever you have going on in a project, or maybe a project coming up that you're thinking about, you can also use the SWOT analysis in that manner. So I know I recently have used this in terms of community engagement with the management committee. So yeah, different ways to look at it for sure in the work that we do.
So I thought we had a little bit more time than we do. So we'll take 2 more minutes on strengths related to the community garden projects, and then we'll move to the next one.
And this session goes until 11:15.
Okay, thank you. I thought it went till 11:30. So thank you for the message, Marlinda. Okay. If you have any last thoughts, put them up really quick. And I will have Diana move to the next page of the Jam board where we'll stock. We won't be stalking anyone, where we're going to talk about our issues with the community garden or weaknesses. So on this Jam board, on the sticky notes, things to think about are what are some needs that you have related to the gardens from an organizational standpoint and from an individual standpoint. What are some things that you'd like to see improved? What is feedback that you've gotten from participants in the community about things they'd like to see changed? And then answer the question, if we just had blank, the community gardens would be better. So what is that thing, or what are the things that you believe would move the community gardens in a positive way? And we'll take about 5 minutes to do this. Okay, about 1 more minute. Okay, Diana, would you please move to the next Jamboard and we'll talk about opportunities. So sticky notes for this board, what are opportunities for underutilized resources, resources you currently have that could be used differently, or ideas for solving some of the problems that might be facing, or trends in community gardening, funding opportunities that might be out there. So any potential, any growth ideas that you see related to community gardens. Okay, we'll take about 1 more minute on opportunities. Whoops. Diana? You still there?
Yep, I am.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. Why it switched from the Jamboard to...
We can see the Jamboard still, Gretchen.
Oh, you can see it still. Okay.
Yep, so I'm on the vulnerabilities and threats.
Okay, so now we're on threats. So this would be changes in technology, financial health, any organizational weaknesses, threats from competition, political effects, financial effects. Okay, we'll take about 1 more minute on threats. Okay, if there aren't any more, we'll close down the Jamboard. So tomorrow in the next session, or the next session tomorrow, all of the cultural values that you listed today will be put together in a list to help guide the remaining portions of the logic modeling. And all of the SWOT analysis will be put together into one document for you to look at as well. Does anybody have any questions about identifying values or doing SWOT analysis?
I have a question about the values, if I can ask. With that kind of, if you're doing this with community groups, how long in your experience, has that process taken to identify values? Like, I feel, we did it pretty quickly in this demo, right? But in your experience, what's that process been like, doing that with community groups?
That's a really great question. Thank you. We usually take about an hour to do that section. And the reason that it usually takes about that long is, in addition to listing all of the values, we have the community write a small summary of what that value means to the community. Because trust may mean something very different in my community than it does in Diana's community, than it does in your community. And so in addition to listing values, we also do that, what does it mean, what does it look like, piece of it.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for coming to our session today, and we look forward to meeting with you again tomorrow to move on to the next step of logic modeling.
Thank you, Gretchen and